Hello and welcome back to National Busways West Scotland, where today we're looking out over Kilbirnie, Glengarnock and Beith, which are currently, only Beith of the three towns is currently being served, and they're only being served by the 111 between Renfrew and Kilwinning. It's a very long route, runs down from Kilwinning, up through Dalry, Beith, Howwood, Milliken Park, Johnstone, Elderslie and Paisley up to Renfrew. And yeah, there's a lot going on this side of the railway. Well, there's a little bit going on this side of the railway that I want to serve. Namely, Kilbirnie, Glengarnock and Lochwinnoch. So, I think we should serve these places. So I'm going to head over to my 400s, get the Renfrewshire and Inverclyde mainline route colour, wait for it to load because it's the first time I've asked it to load this menu. There we go. Copy that. New route. Own bus route. You know, standard CBM route setup. Just, you know, as you do. Then, there we go, 149th route of the series is going to be the 403 from Johnstone Station to Beith. So yes, starting from Johnstone Station, Johnstone Station. There you go. And are we going to come out of Johnstone this way? I think we are. What are we going to do from there? We're going to go out through Milliken Park and Howwood, then head up to Lochwinnoch, and then around to Beith via Kilbirnie, Glengarnock, and then into Beith through like the backside, if you will. So, post me if you don't mind. And the 403 is now in place between Johnstone Station and Beith via Milliken Park, Howwood, Lochwinnoch, Kilbirnie, Glengarnock, via Milliken Park, Howwood, Lochwinnoch, Kilbirnie and Glengarnock. So it is exactly 15 miles each way for an exactly 30-mile return trip, which is very nice. So, yeah, Johnstone Station. There's going to be a little There's going to be a few local routes in Johnstone, not many, but there will be a few because there's, there's something there, there's something there that they need serving. There's this estate in Brookfield that I want to serve, and this estate at the edge of Paisley is going to be served both into Johnstone and into Paisley by distinct local services, but that's not for now. So this route's probably going to run half-hourly during the week, hourly on Sundays, and during the week it's going to have that layered timetable thing that I do, where there'll be an hourly layer that runs all day, and then another hourly layer on top of it that's half an hour offset, to boost the frequencies up to every half hour during the day. Probably not going to have the longest operating hours, but then again, you know me, that probably means, like, if I'm talking very short, probably 6 till 10:30, which, for this part of the world is quite generous. I do have a lot of stop renaming to do. Hopefully that's not messed up everything too badly, because sometimes if you have a lot of bus stop, the game treats them all as termini, which is not fun. But that appears to have not been the case here. So we'll cut that back to there. Says 41 minutes, which is not bad. So I'm going to go into a time-lapse. Not time-lapse, a jump cut. I've not time-lapsed a timetable in so long. And the timetable went in exactly as planned. The 403 runs, every half hour during the week, and every hour on Sundays. And we'll be running the OmniCities on it. So I'll be buying an extra 6 OmniCities for this route, which means we want to run out of Port Glasgow. And we will activate that. Now, why not? So this is the first route we're going to be putting in today. The next route is going to be the N5. I figured, you know what, let's do a night bus. I've decided I'm gonna... oh no, wait, I'm not going to say that. Hold that thought. That's to be revealed in this week's episode of By Night in the intro. So yeah, if I'm going to drop that in a CBM episode, I'm going to drop that in Monday's South Coast. Because I don't want to be revealing By Night news in City Bus Manager, because I don't think everyone who watches By Night watches CBM, or everyone who watches CBM watches By Night. So, it's By Night relevant, and therefore it is for By Night people. Or at least By Night people first. So this is Port Glasgow, where we have a bunch of OmniCities. How many do we have? We have 54. That's a weird number for me, but okay. And then we have a bunch of darts. Very nice. So let's buy a few more OmniCities. Solo bus. OmniCity. Yell when you see it. Found it. No premium seats, no PAS. Very basic. OmniCity type. We want 6 of them. Oh, that's for an off-camera thing that I'm thinking of doing. Capital Country is just a spin on London Country, and I'm thinking of doing London Country North off camera. That'll definitely be getting a drop in on a Tuesday, because I am going to be using that. Keep an eye out. We want Renfrewshire over Clyde. This is in Renfrewshire. Very nice. It's a bus that we've already seen before, but you know, the OmniCity is a very nice looking bus. You know, the single decker OmniCity is a very, very pretty bus. I love these things. They are getting rarer and rarer as the days goes on. As the days go on. I can English tonight, wow. But yeah, these are our OmniCities. E-Bus DLC means I have these in the garage. Right. So we have 403s loading, which is fun. And we need to set these up. So, Renfrewshire. Copy. Port Glasgow. This is going to be OC, so we're on the 53 reg now, which will be slightly before National Busways Go Scania Crazy in Nottingham and Southampton. No, not OC53, we already have that. But there will be a few OmniCities elsewhere, so where did we get to? We got to 54 with the first batch, didn't we? Yes, we did. So let's have this be OmniCity 97. And this is going to be SF53 JFC. There you go. Scrolling back down in the list, you are going to be, I'm keeping you with because there's only 6 of these. PG, fleet number is OC98, SF53 JFD. You, Renfrewshire, Port Glasgow, OC99, SF53 JFE. Now we're skipping F, because although you don't actually have to you don't actually have to avoid repeating characters 2 and 7, it's a habit I got into, and now I'm not going to revert. SF53, so we're going straight to JFG. And then we're going Renfrewshire, Port Glasgow, OC 101, SF 53 JFH, and last one of the batch is going to be Renfrewshire, Port Glasgow, OC 53, no, OC 102, and the license plate is going to be SF53 JFJ. Yes. Ooh, JFJ, that's fun. I did not plan that. I just picked C randomly. So let's get these all assigned while the game finishes its autosave. There's 2, Yeah, so this route does need 4 buses. But 6, you know, covers any sort of tightness we have in the fleet, which is nice. And JFE. There we go. So, that's these all ready to go on their first runs of the 403, which runs from Johnstone Station out to Beith. Next, I need to make some notes. I just plugged my phone in before I started recording because it got really low on charge. So you know what? I'm not going to reach over and grab my phone while it's still charging. I'm going to get Notepad up on my PC. My desktop? No, my laptop off to the side. So, bus routes. We want to look at the 5. Townhead to Fayfleet. The N5 is going to run to Dumbarton. So it's going to follow the 5 out to Clydebank, then it's going to run along the 50 out to Dumbarton. I was considering numbering that route the N115, but I think N5 is better. So we want to show timetable. Monday to Saturday, first departure George Square is first departure from George Square is, where is it? Yell when you see it. George Square Tourist Centre. There we are. 5:18. 05:18, making a note of that. Last arrival George Square. Oh no. First departure from Clydebank is Clydebank bus station 5:03. Last arrival George Square is, scrolling down, I think the one I want is West George Street, Queen Street. West George Street, Queen Street, last arrival is midnight. Wait, hang on, I'm trying to work out which stops I actually need. First departure from George Square, that will tell me when the last night bus should run. First departure from Clydebank will tell me when the last inbound night bus should run. The last arrival at George Square doesn't really tell me anything, but the last departure from Clydebank does. So the last departure from Clydebank is 23:15. Like I set this route up to have a night bus, because that's relatively early. And the last one from Yeah, so last departure from George Square at night is when you see George Square Tourist Centre, 23:30. There we go. That's Monday to Saturday. On a Sunday, the first departure from George Square, which will tell us when the last night bus should depart George Square, is 05:33. The first departure from Clydebank heading inbound is 5:27. First departure Clydebank, and then the last departure from Clydebank heading inbound is 22:12. Wow, that's really early. Okay. And the last departure from George Square heading out is 23:03. Perfect. So, all that's left for me to do is to set up the N5. So, yeah, copy our very dark red hex code, and then it's time to do the N5, which is gonna come out to Dumbarton Town Centre. Can't believe it's taken this long to go to Dumbarton, and even then we're only doing it as a night bus, because I remember having plans for a route that would go up to Balloch. And yeah, we haven't even expanded the map there, let alone put the first route variant in. So, you know, it helps when you press buttons. Pressing buttons helps when you're playing City Bus Manager, or when you're doing anything. So, yeah. Be smart. Be smart. Don't be me. If you be me, things will go wrong. Because I am stupid and dumb in several ways. But this is the N5 from Glasgow to Dumbarton. There we go. So, we are setting this route up, and we're going to start it from Risk Street. Then we're going to come out and around, and we're going to stop there. No, not like that. We're going to go like that, but then we're also going to go like that and that. Perfect. Then we're going to stop there, 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 and post me, if you don't mind. And there is the N5 from Glasgow George Square all the way out to Dumbarton. In... I don't know what county that is. Hold on, Googling. What county are you? Scrolling, open street map off to the side. You can't even see what I'm doing. This is very professional. It is... Oh. Guys, it's Dumbartonshire. I know at least one of you will be screaming Dumbartonshire at their monitor right now. And Alex, I know I'm dumb. Right. Anywho. Timetable and night bus. These are a little bit complicated because they actually have more variances, variables, whatever, than a daytime route. Because, you know, night crosses between days, and that sounds really obvious. But you do have to factor that in when you plan your timetables, if you want it to, like, bridge from last to first. Because a Sunday service will start later, finish earlier, so you've got to have a different timetable for Saturday night and a different timetable for Sunday night. So, yeah, you've got to watch out. So I'm going to go watch out in a not time lapse, a jump cut. Second time I've done that. But yeah, jump cut. And the timetable for the N5 is now in place, between Glasgow and Dumbarton. So this is going to run from the same garage using the same fleet. Actually, is it? No, it's not necessarily. This is going to run with the VP type from Clydebank 2. Whether or not that's the same garage, the same vehicle type and garage as the daytime 5, I don't mind. This is, you know, if they are different, this can just be one of those. And that's going to run from Clydebank Shed 2. And we'll activate that now. Creating shifts. Very nice. So yeah, this route runs half hourly all night, every night, bridging the gap between the last bus on the daytime 5 and the first bus on the daytime 5 the following day. You know, as a night bus should. Manchester have a very weird system with their 24-hour buses where they run the same timetable week round, and it does work during weekdays, but at weekends there's a massive gap in the early morning between the last like overnight bus and the first regular daytime service. That's just awkward. B Network, sort that out. Like, you know, it's not like London's been doing night buses well for decades and, you know, should be the template for which night buses everywhere are run, you know? But anywho, let's go to the shift scheduler. Let's get automatic driver assignment done at Port Glasgow. Naturally, the SF02s, or the SF53s even, Oh, they're there. That wasn't that dramatic. Actually, you know, we'll have every bus out on one shift today. How does that sound? Then we'll go to Clydebank Shed 2. And it does seem to be working. So that's good. It's not always easy to tell with the night buses if they will work, because if you put night timings on, then it can get a bit dicey. But you go, you can go, you can go, you can go. Oh, you can go, and you can go. Yeah, this is out all night by the looks of things. So it does an inbound at midnight 16, then an outbound at 1:50, then it does an inbound at 3:16, an outbound at 4:50, which gets into Dumbarton at 6:10, and then dead runs to the garage. Very nice. That's sort of how I would expect this to work. So let's go to the shift scheduler. Automatic assignment for drivers at all depots. And then I'm going to assign buses and drivers at all depots for tomorrow, because we are going to be looking at a night bus. So, you know, we want to have the daytime service set up the following day so that the game doesn't nag me about doing shift assignments. Because when you have a fleet this large, yeah, the game gets a bit much if you don't use the automation. Which, you know, valid. And you now join us on the first run of the 403 between Beith and Johnstone. So we're coming around the backside of Beith, on these sort of big fast roads. I think that's the Beith bypass, but you know, we're using it as sort of a way of effectively serving the outer parts of Beith, whereas the 111 runs straight through the middle. And we're already late. And we're back on time again. Isn't that nice? Coming up through Glengarnock now. Into Glengarnock Station. With 17 on board. Very nice for the first run. 19. 21. 22 on board. Very, very nice. That 16 at the top of the vehicle list there in the top right corner of the screen is an hour late. That route runs every 10 minutes. That should be physically impossible. Decline. So, and we're a minute late again. But we're back on time again. That's fine. So we're now less than, oh no, we're less than half an hour from the end. I was about to say less than 20 minutes from the end. I can maths. No, but we're just coming through Lochwinnoch now. Lochwinnoch Library. And then the big countryside section. These nothing stops. Although a few people wanted that one for some reason. And then coming into Howwood, where we rejoin the 111, or 111. Why did I call it the 111? No, 111 is how you say that number as a bus. Then coming up through Milliken Park, the section that was formerly served by just were formerly served exclusively by the N1. So that little bit through Milliken Park now has a daytime bus service in the form of 403. Very nice. And coming into Johnstone, very nice. So that will then go back to Beith at 16:20. So I'm going to speed things along, and we will rejoin this 403 as it heads back to Beith very shortly in game. Okay, so we're now on the move. And the game doesn't know what to do with itself because I'm running it at high speed. There we go. Put the game back on normal speed. And we're very busy through Milliken Park. Good, we like a successful bus route. I don't think we've had any L's yet in either of the series. I'm using yet very, very deliberately because we might have an L. I don't know. But now we're in the countryside section with a handful on board. And coming down into Lochwinnoch. Very nice. 19 on board through Lochwinnoch. Which means there's definitely some staying on for Kilbirnie, Glengarnock and Beith. Which is good, because that's what I put this route in to serve. There will also be, down this, or down a similar route to this, a route between Renfrew and Dalry that will serve basically the same roads into Kilbirnie. And then go down to Dalry. But there's Glengarnock Station, Glengarnock, I assume that's just a, like, Glengarnock College. Which, you know, useful to serve with a bus, very useful to serve with a bus. And hopefully half-hourly frequency at the timings I've given it is useful for the college. Although that does lead me to reiterate the calls I have made, including in Payday Pulse, which, if you're unfamiliar, if you don't have City Bus Manager, Payday Pulse was implemented in the major update that I think is currently still in the beta. But this, you just press F1, you get to the Payday Pulse thing, and you can suggest features in here. It's much better than it used to be. You can report bugs. And yeah, so I've got a few. Not all of these are ones that I've made, but that's my bug report. That's my suggestion. Where else is one of mine? That's one of mine. Multiple vehicle groups on it. Well, that's not one of mine, but it's one that I had and saw that someone already put something in similar. School bus contracts, that one's also mine. You can see the National Busways liveries there. That was, you know, I had the idea to submit that while I was doing some off-camera stuff on South Coast. What else did we have? No, I think that's it for me. But yeah, if you have City Bus Manager, you're in the beta channel. Go on Payday Pulse and, you know, suggest some features that you'd like to see in the game, report some bugs that are annoying you. Very, very good addition to the game. Even if it doesn't really affect gameplay, it might affect gameplay in the future, and that's why it's important. Because school bus contracts, hello, it seems fairly obvious. You know, when school bus contracts get added to City Bus Manager, you'll know about it because I will be going ham on them for, well, both of these series. So, I'm going to run the game at fast speed and wait for the first N5 from Dumbarton. And it's now time to join the N5 on a run from Dumbarton into Glasgow. The run takes just under an hour and 20 minutes. And yeah, I mean, it's a very quick run, given the length of the route and the fact that it goes all the way into the city centre. And by the looks of things, I think I've done the timing relatively well. Especially given that it was basically entirely guesswork. So, you know, happy with that. Very nice. And for a night bus, I have to say it's doing quite well. For a night bus on its first night, no less. You can see the time down there in the bottom left is 20 to 2 in the morning. And it looks like every bus that we're passing is doing pretty similar when it comes to time. Well, not when it comes to time, when it comes to passenger numbers. That's what I meant to say. Let's put it on 2 times. Passenger numbers remaining relatively consistent along the length of the route, which is interesting. I wouldn't expect so much sort of passenger exchange happening on a night bus. I would expect night buses to be more centred on the city centre, with people getting on towards the city centre and off towards the suburbs, rather than sort of on and off along the length of the route. But maybe because the route is so long, that behaviour doesn't really happen as much. Now we're in the city centre, on that iconic grid pattern that Glasgow has. And we're arriving at George Square on time. So, next departure that this will do is the 0250, so let's speed things along and follow this out on the 0250 service to Dumbarton Town Centre. Plenty of buses out, because we have a sizable night bus network, with both 24-hour daytime routes and regular N-prefix night buses, and of course the Beltway runs all night as well. But look at how busy this is. It's like 30 some odd on board. That's very good going for a night bus. You know, if you do watch by night, you'll know that I end up on a lot of very quiet buses. Because night buses, they are quieter. They probably aren't profitable, but they are very useful things to have. So, where are we? Oh, we're past Clydebank. How did I not notice? We're just coming up past the end of the 50 now in Old Kilpatrick. And then we're into uncharted waters. If it weren't for the fact that we came here earlier in the other direction. and now coming into Dumbarton itself with a much smaller number of people on board, so maybe the night buses do work as I would expect. But as we arrive into Dumbarton, that is where I leave you all. So, on that note, I will see you next week from National Busways West Scotland. Bye bye.